Flagging the threats. A first-of-its-kind SBI unit is teaching schools and police how to spot warning signs before violence breaks out. We'll show you how it works. Tailgate transformed. NC State football is back, and big changes are rolling out at Carter Finley. We'll give you the sneak peek.
We've changed your holiday forecast. New high-resolution models show when and where rain will show up this weekend.
All right, let's get started. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty. So everybody wants to do everything possible to prevent school shootings. North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation has a strategy to do just that, to stop them before they happen. Now, this has been around for a while, but it's now back in the spotlight after the tragedy yesterday in Minnesota. The SBI will assess people who they believe are at risk of committing violence, and they have taken 62 cases so far this year. WRAL's Carly Haynes shows us how they got to that number and how the program works.
This statewide unit essentially creates the guidebook for threat assessments. So local law enforcement agencies and schools are all looking for the same things. Preventing violence by getting to its root. A statewide team aims to do just that.
It's really what we want to understand is from their mindset, what's driving that person.
The North Carolina SBI created the first statewide behavioral threat assessment unit. It's called Beta. Beta psychologist Nicole Jones created a comprehensive assessment. It helps law enforcement identify concerning behavior and risk factors that could lead to violence.
It's almost like a 360 understanding of this particular individual and the factors that, would warrant active case management and consideration for our risk analysis.
Beta's case number has increased, more than 100 last year and 62 so far this year.
We're going to look at social media. We're going to look at sort of histories, criminal histories of the student or their parents.
The SBI held trainings for local law enforcement and schools just this week. It explained what behaviors to look for, like threats of violence, increased interest in weapons, or problems at school.
How did you get to that point, and why did you get to that point? What failed you there?
The goal is to intervene and course correct before violence can happen. The outcome often means putting someone on a mitigation plan. It's not about arrests. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Thank you to Carly. More to talk about tonight. So if you're just getting to your TV, if you're just getting to the news, let's walk you through the headlines. These are the 5 things you should know right now. UNC unveiled a new memorial today, 2 years after a professor was shot and killed on campus. The site pays tribute to Dr. Ziji Yang, a graduate student shot and killed him inside Condell Labs. That student is now in a mental health facility and deemed unfit to stand trial. A high school in Johnston County dealt with a lockdown for the second day in a row. The district put Smithfield-Selma High on lockdown because of police activity nearby. 2 other nearby schools went into secure mode, as they call it. Smithfield-Selma went on lockdown yesterday after a weapons detector spotted a student with a BB gun. 3 Wake County schools also went on lockdown today. The school system put Abbots Creek Elementary along with Durant Road Elementary and Middle on code yellow. That means there is a threat in the area. In this case, police were investigating a theft at a nearby auto store. The suspect ran off. A county elections chair in our state resigned a day after police arrested him. Wilmington police arresting James Yoakley the charges are bizarre, of putting drugs in his granddaughter's ice cream. He served as the head of the elections there in Surrey County, north of Winston-Salem. In a statement, Yoakley denied the accusations, but said he felt it was best to step away. The state treasurer says he found $170 million extra dollars in North Carolina's accounts. Brad Briner says a detailed review uncovered the money that's just been sitting idle apparently for years. Briner says there are some legal limits about how that money can be used. It can refund debt, though, fund capital projects approved by the General Assembly, and in some cases pay for some projects approved by North Carolina voters. The season opener between NC State and ECU just kicked off at Carter Finley Stadium. Come next year, as people prepare for kickoff, tailgating. That scene is going to look a whole lot different. When this season ends, things will start to change and work will begin on new parking garages. It's the beginning of a $1 billion development plan there. WRAL's Heidi Kirk joins us live outside of the stadium. How are fans feeling about the potential for some change down there? Tradition's a big deal.
Well, Dan, earlier tonight there were lots of people out here tailgating, and now many of them had headed into the stadium. We actually just heard kickoff within the last few minutes or so, but where I'm standing today, this is a very popular spot for all of that tailgating. Take a look behind me. You'll see lots of cars packed out here, and all of this could change. Now, this is the last season that it's going to look like people remember it from years from now. Now go ahead and take a look at your screens. You're going to see some renderings here. These are the plans for the southeast parking lot of Raleigh's Lenovo Center. The Carolina Hurricanes plan to build those 2 3-story parking structures overlooking a new tailgate area and 2 new buildings, one of them a concert venue. Now those developments will fit into the larger plans to transform this area as a whole into lots of mixed-use development. Now people out here today, they have mixed feelings about the changes. Many welcome the development, but they're eager to learn what tailgating will look like in the future.
I hope that they can keep ease of access. It's hard to tailgate out of a parking deck. In fact, I've cracked on Chapel Hill about that for years and years, and now we're about to join them.
And Dan, here is the good news. You'll have one more season of tailgating as you know it right here outside Carter Finley Stadium. They plan to break ground on some of those projects come December after the last home football game. Dan? So
we've heard from some of the folks at NC State, and they are acknowledging this conundrum between the tailgating and the parking. NC State Athletic Director Boo Corrigan has made some comments in the past about his feelings of the changes, especially when it comes to parking. What are his thoughts on the direction the Lenovo Center is going?
Absolutely, Dan. The biggest takeaway for me is that he is not shying away from that change. He knows that fans are aware that things are going to look different and they are going to change. But one of the things that he said is that he's aware that parking is the single biggest issue for a lot of fans. He's not shying away from that, and he knows that fans are excited about some of those other changes that are coming here, so they're going to ride them out together. What he did say in a press conference in July, actually at the Lenovo Center, we were sitting in the room with him, as he said he wants to make sure that fans are included in the conversation, and they've communicated a lot of those changes. Dan?
Yeah, Heidi, thank you so much. Appreciate it. So everything Heidi was talking about there, the parking decks that are going to be built near Carter Finley, they're really just the first step in a much larger developing story. It's a much bigger project. Heidi showed you the renderings, that big plan for the 80-acre area there that includes Carter Finley Stadium as well as the Lenovo Center. The man who oversees the project describes its goal like this. We want to, quote, turn this into something used by our community on a significant basis, from 150 to 160 times a year to something used every day. And if you lived in the Triangle for a while, then you've probably heard a lot of this before. You've seen all those fancy renderings. I mean, this is a conversation the city has been having since 1999 when the Lenovo Center first opened. But this plan for the arena's future isn't really only about the 80 acres that it sits on. It's about everything else around it. Remember these drawings from a few years ago? These are from the Blue Ridge Corridor Alliance. They include a health and wellness district, an arts district, an entertainment district, all down in that area. And the thing is, this is actually starting to take shape. DHHS and the State Ag Department both built new facilities. The company Bandwidth built its multi-million-dollar headquarters down in that area. The National Guard Museum is going to get a facelift, all in that Blue Ridge corridor. And I know that dump trucks and traffic cones can be super annoying, but the road work on Blue Ridge Road and the Beltline and Hillsborough Street, that is setting up the foundation for more businesses and more people getting access to that area. And the people behind all of it want to keep the momentum going. They want to pump more money into this. Cane's owner Tom Dundon invested $1 billion, but there are ways to get a whole lot more. In fact, they want to create something known as a municipal service district. It's an area within a city or within a county where residents will pay an additional property tax, and that money then goes toward the extra services like redevelopment. This sort of thing can really work well. Downtown Raleigh is one of these special districts. Today, the Downtown Alliance reported $8 billion in investments, nearly 6,000 new residential units, and 51 new storefront businesses. It is growing. It is booming, you could say. And last year, the Blue Ridge Corridor Alliance pitched creating one of those special districts around the Lenovo Center. Now, it didn't go anywhere at the time. The idea is if they can raise enough money, though, and start to redevelop down there, it will start that domino effect. More businesses will move in, more restaurants, more bars will open, more people will visit, more apartments, more homes, all that sort of thing will mean more money will come in, and that cycle will continue. I know this sounds a little bit like pie in the sky, but this model has been incredibly successful in other places. The Battery in Atlanta, for instance, Tom Dundon has brought this place up before. It's the home of the Atlanta Braves, a stadium with breweries and hotels and restaurants and shopping and that sort of thing. It's basically a village for baseball. And since it was built in 2017, development has popped up all over that surrounding area. They went through phases of endless renderings of local government trying to raise money, of criticism from big names in the community, people saying this won't work or it won't work the right way. But in the end, it did work out for them. And today the Battery makes money hand over fist. That could be the future of that Lenovo Center, Carter Finley Stadium area. And it sounds like the future starts with building some parking decks. So it is the first week of school, and lots of districts have new cell phone policies in place. How's that going so far? After the break, we're going to be talking about how the restrictions can be different from school to school when it comes to phones, and why some parents and students still aren't sold on the idea. Mike?
Dan, the September feel in August continues, and we get a reinforcing shot of that nice air from this front. That'll come on by. I'll show you when. And also rain for the weekend. I'll highlight where we can see it with Futurecast.
Welcome back. This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center, and all new here at 7 o'clock. You know, there's been a lot of talk about an increased federal law enforcement presence in other cities, including Chicago. And in the past hour, we have some new details about an upcoming operation in Chicago. Border Czar Tom Homan with the White House says that there are discussions about using Naval Station Great Lakes in the Chicago area as a home base for ICE agents and possibly National Guard members. He confirmed operations would ramp up in Chicago after Labor Day and in other so-called sanctuary cities across the country. He specifically mentioned New York, Los Angeles, Portland, and Seattle.
All right, Brian, thank you. So schools across North Carolina are forcing students to put away their phones. You know, it's not like they didn't have any rules on phones before. A lot of schools did, but they were doing it in different ways. The difference about what's happening now is that the policies are uniform for the most part. I spoke to WRAL's Destiny Patterson about which districts still have some work to do and how parents and students have responded. So, Destiny, it's a new chapter for phones in schools in the state, but there are still some districts that are not adhering to what those rules are. Why are some districts behind here?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to language, and also the law has certain exemptions like medical conditions or individual education plans. I went through more than 24 district policies, and within them, most of the districts that I heard back from said that they were planning to make changes or already had made changes. And then there are a couple who said that they feel that they are actually in good standing. Take Wake County, for example, who says, you know, their policy says silent and put away, but the law says that the phone should be off in a way. So it's little nuances like that will be up to the state to decide.
And is there any type of recourse for these districts if they're not in compliance the way that the state says it should be done?
So each district will have to report to the state what their cell phone policy is, but at this point, the law doesn't specifically lay out any specific consequence if they're not exactly in compliance with the law.
Now, the shooting in Minneapolis, in Minnesota yesterday really got the attention of a lot of parents when it comes to cell phones and having that access to their children. I want to read an email that I got from a viewer named Teresa, and she said, as long as there are active shooters in schools, no one can in good conscience ban the kids from having cell phones in schools. Understandably, the school can create guidelines to when kids can use them, lunch, recess, etc., but it's imperative that the kids have this lifeline in an emergency. I hope you bring this very important topic to the forefront. Have you been hearing similar things from teachers, parents, students, that sort of thing?
The main concern that I've heard from both parents and students is this idea of having their cell phone there for safety reasons, especially because we are seeing these incidents across the country involving crisis situations.
They are a necessary evil, but I think they should not be at the children's desks.
A lot of safety concerns were going with it. I know my school had a lockdown. I think it was my freshman year. And so a lot of people were worried within that aspect of it.
I feel for parents who can't get a hold of their kids, and with all the different things going on in the world now, it's just kind of scary to not be able to get a hold of them. As a teacher, you can't keep their attention if they have them. So I see both sides.
But a lot of officials say that, having the phone out is actually a hindrance during these emergency crisis situations because it can spread misinformation. It can cause more of this urgency that may not necessarily need to be there. And so ultimately there is this difference between what officials think is necessary when it comes to safety versus what students and parents think.
I know you'll keep watching to see how this all plays out as the school year continues. Destiny, thank you. Joined now by meteorologist Mike Mays with nothing but good news. I mean, we just have beautiful weather.
Yeah, these are the normal temperatures for the end of September, not the end of August.
Right.
And we've got our final weekend of August coming up, and it looks like it's going to remain pleasant. We have 57 for the low this morning, long sleeves, maybe a light jacket this afternoon, 81. A little bit warmer than what we had yesterday. We had 79 yesterday, 81 today. Tomorrow we should be in the mid-80s. Then we'll slide back down for the holiday weekend. 77 right now, beautiful sunset in progress. Museum of Natural Sciences Daily Planet building there. 54 is the dew point. The air is a little bit more humid today than it was yesterday. Dew points yesterday were in the 40s to about 50. Notice some dew points are showing up in the 60s ahead of that next front that's coming in. Some moisture is being pulled up from the south, and so it's feeling a little bit more uncomfortable, but still not bad considering it is August. So we know NC State's playing. We got Duke playing as well. Kickoff is at 7:30 against Elon. Excuse me, mostly sunny skies, 76 at that point. 9 o'clock, 70, and by 11 o'clock, 67. Beautiful weather to kick off college football. And tomorrow night with high school football, the weather will be nice as well. But there's some changes coming up. So we warm up tomorrow ahead of the next front. Once that front passes on Saturday, temperatures begin to dip. In fact, by next Tuesday, we could be back in the 70s for highs. Now, that front brings the possibility of some rain. This system moves to our south, may bring rain to the southern part of our state during the day on Sunday, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a washout weekend, and probably most of us won't see rain during the day on Saturday because the showers will be very spotty. So we start Futurecast Saturday morning at 8. We see a northerly wind here, more of a westerly wind here. That's where the front lines up in the morning on Saturday. We go up toward about lunchtime. It's partly cloudy. Later in the afternoon, we see these little spotty showers popping up, and they're more likely, they're showing up more in the southern counties. So it's Fayetteville, it's over toward Goldsboro, maybe over toward Rocky Mount. By 6 o'clock, a few spotty showers around, and you can see for yourself it's not a great chance for rain. Most likely will end up being dry. Saturday at 8 o'clock, still a few spotty showers around, and by 11 o'clock, still a few spotty showers. That front should be in the southern part of the state on Sunday, and that's where we're most likely to see some showers. Here, we have about a 20% chance of rain for the day on Sunday. So tonight, not as cool. The lowest temperature I could find last night was 50 in Halifax, up in Halifax County. 57 at Lewisburg tonight, 57 at South Hill, 57 at Lewisburg, or Siler City, I should say, 58 at Sanford, 60 at Southern Pines, 59 at Smithfield. We'll have mostly clear skies, and I think we'll start our Friday with full sunshine. Later in the afternoon, a few fair weather cumulus clouds. We'll call it mostly sunny. High temperatures in the low to mid 80s to the north, maybe some upper 80s showing up in our southern counties. High school football tomorrow evening, fantastic. Not feeling all that uncomfortable. The humidity shouldn't be all that bad, with about 71 by the time the games come to an end. 7-day forecast, the beautiful weather continues, still warm tomorrow and also on Saturday. Temperatures dip at the end of the holiday weekend, and damn, by next Tuesday, the high around 79, so still feeling pretty good.
Absolutely, I love it. Thank you, Mike. Today highlights a little-known fact about North Carolina's role in World War II, an air base that trained thousands of soldiers ahead of D-Day. And I don't mean Fort Bragg. It's your one last thing after the break. But first, let's get you ready for that beautiful weekend that Mike was talking about. Here's what's going on out and about. Last thing, I want to share some pretty interesting North